During the day, you think you have time. You stay busy, you answer emails, you sit in traffic, you grab coffee, you reply to rapid-fire messages, and you keep moving. The sheer momentum of the day tricks you into feeling safe. The noise of your routine drowns out the heavy questions waiting in the back of your mind. As long as the sun is up, you can convince yourself that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. But at night, the temperature of the room changes. The physical world shrinks to the size of your bedroom. The notifications stop. You lie there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the refrigerator or the cars passing outside. And suddenly, in that quiet isolation, it feels like you're completely wasting your life. You watch the red numbers on your alarm clock shift. Another hour gone. You feel this heavy, sinking weight in your chest, a tightness in your jaw that will not let go. You probably tell yourself you just lack discipline. You think it is a profound character flaw that you cannot figure your life out. You assume everyone else has it figured out while you're just spinning your tires in the mud. It is not weakness. Your brain literally turns your choices into grief. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens, and I am going to give you a clean, quiet way to finally make a decision without tearing yourself apart from the inside. If you recognize that heavy, suffocating feeling at 2 a.m, stay with me. Because the truth at the end of this video permanently changes the way you look at your future. This silent dread always surfaces when you find yourself standing at a major crossroads. You tell yourself you're just weighing your options. You think you're gathering more information so you can make the smartest possible move. You convince yourself that if you just think about it from one more angle, the perfect answer will reveal itself. You make pros and cons lists that stretch on for pages. You ask 5 different friends for advice, hoping one of them will hand you a magical, painless answer. But you're not actually indecisive. You are trapped in a vivid simulation of losses. I'm going to walk you through 4 invisible mechanisms your brain uses to keep you paralyzed in this state. And then I will give you one final truth that actually brings real peace. You already know this feeling hits the absolute hardest when the sun goes down. When the physical noise of the world drops, your internal noise skyrockets. There are no more distractions, no more meetings, no more podcasts playing in the background. Your brain is essentially a primitive survival machine, and right now it is trying desperately to protect you. It treats a life-altering decision exactly like a physical threat in the wild, so it starts frantically rehearsing your future to prevent you from ever experiencing the pain of regret. But it executes this protection in the most agonizing way possible. It forces you to feel the massive, heavy weight of a loss before you even make a choice. It makes you mourn a life you haven't even let go of yet. And the first trick of this protection system is absolutely brutal. Imagine your mind as a sterile, dimly lit courtroom. You are the defendant, sitting entirely alone at a wooden table under a harsh light. There's no judge to dismiss the case, no jury to grant mercy, no defense attorney coming to save you, only a ruthless prosecutor, and that prosecutor is your own anxiety. Your brain takes every single option you are currently considering and forces you to watch exactly what you will lose if you choose something else. It pulls up receipts. It shows you memories of past mistakes. It builds a flawless, terrifying argument against your own happiness. Because choosing one specific life means you actively destroy all the other versions of who you could be. Every single yes you say is 1,000 tiny no's to everything else, so your mind starts projecting trailers of tragedy onto the courtroom wall. Vivid, high-definition movies of your absolute worst fears playing out in real time. It whispers, what if I regret this in 5 years? What if I walk away and completely ruin the stability I have spent a decade building? What if I choose this path, realize I absolutely hate it, and get permanently stuck here with no way out? You see this play out constantly in your career. You sit there debating whether to finally switch fields. You imagine handing in your resignation, but instead of excitement, your brain shows you a devastating failure. It shows your savings account draining to zero. It shows you crawling back to your old industry, embarrassed and defeated. So you consider the safe route instead. You consider staying. But then the brain switches the reel. It shows you 10 years down the line, sitting in the exact same corporate chair, hollowed out, carrying the bitter resentment of a coward who never tried. You see it tearing at your relationships too. You sit in your car in the driveway, unable to turn off the engine, debating if you should walk inside and end a 5-year relationship. Do you leave because the dynamic feels terribly stagnant, braving the terrifying landscape of starting over completely alone? Or do you stay, settle for the quiet, suffocating dinners where nobody says what they actually mean, and put in the grueling work to fix it? Do you drop your heavy emotional walls and fully commit to this person, risking total devastation? Or do you keep a safe, calculated distance so you can avoid ever getting burned again? The pressure of these imaginary futures is suffocating. So you do not decide. You just erode. You slowly wear yourself down to the bone. You spend massive amounts of cognitive energy just running in circles. You spend so much energy simulating the future that you have zero energy left to actually live in the present, and the longer you put off the choice, the more your brain takes notes. It uses your hesitation as hard, undeniable evidence against you. It says, see, you really don't know what you're doing. You cannot trust yourself. But there is a current running much deeper beneath the surface. Because this isn't actually about the decision itself. It is about your identity. When you stare down a massive fork in the road, it feels like a choice about your future. But in reality, it is a small death of your past. You are not just picking a new route on a map. You're being asked to leave a very familiar version of yourself behind forever. If you decide to settle down, you have to let the wild, independent version of you die. If you decide to chase the risky dream, you have to let the safe, predictable version of you die. You are mourning the ghost ships of your life, the vessels you will never board. And human identity craves absolute stability. It absolutely despises change. When you make a definitive choice, you slam certain doors shut. You lock them. You throw away the key. And your ego perceives those closed doors not as progress, but as a literal physical threat to its survival. You find yourself caught in a silent, exhausting war. It is the violent clash between the person who wants to be everything and the person who must step up and become something real. Because being something real requires sacrifice. It requires you to bleed for a specific outcome. Imagine standing in a long hallway lined with open doors. As long as you stand in the hallway, you could theoretically walk into any room. There is an incredible, intoxicating comfort in keeping all your options open. As long as you haven't committed to one single path, you cannot fail. You get to remain pure, untouched potential. In your mind, you are a millionaire, a legendary artist, a perfect partner, and a world traveler all at the exact same time. The second you choose a door, you lose that godlike status. You become just a regular human being, starting over as a beginner at one very hard thing. But you cannot live your entire life in a hallway. The cost of that safety is severe. You end up stranded in a very comfortable limbo. The weeks blur into months. The months quietly, violently turn into years. Eventually, the warmth of that safety fades entirely, and it is replaced by a deep, gnawing self-disgust. You start to resent your own reflection. You start to hate yourself for staying in the exact same place while the rest of the world moves forward without you. Which leads you right into the most seductive trap of all. Picture this. You're lying in bed, feeling that familiar, tight tension in your chest. The room is totally dark. The cold blue light of the screen illuminates your face at 2 a.m. You unlock your phone. You open an app and start scrolling. Within 10 minutes, you watch 30 different people your exact age, living 30 completely different lives. You're literally window shopping for existences. You see someone who just bought a massive sunlit house in the suburbs. You swipe. You see someone backpacking alone through the remote mountains of Japan. You swipe. You see a young couple launching a wildly successful tech startup from their garage. You swipe. You see someone getting a major promotion in a city you used to desperately want to live in. Suddenly, your own life feels impossibly, unbearably small. Not because your life is actually small, but because your physical brain was never built to consume a lifetime of alternate realities in a fraction of a second. Your mind makes a fatal, devastating miscalculation right here. It fundamentally confuses seeing options with having options. And when the internet makes it feel like absolutely everything is possible at any given moment, absolutely nothing becomes real. You transform into a compulsive collector of beginnings. You buy domain names for businesses you will never register. You download language apps, but never pass lesson 1. You have entire folders of saved real estate listings in states you have never even visited. You have a massive stack of unread books on your nightstand that represent the intellectual you desperately want to be. This is the junk food of decision-making. It gives you a quick spike of dopamine without providing any real nourishment. You chase the cheap thrill of planning without ever doing the heavy lifting of executing. You are a master of starting things in your head, but you never finish them in the physical world. You are hoarding aesthetics instead of building character. Your inner peace is permanently held hostage by your next grand plan. You aren't actually living your life. You are just endlessly preparing to live it. You are waiting in the lobby of your own existence. And hiding quietly right behind all of that endless preparation is a fear almost no one has the courage to admit out loud. Ask yourself a very uncomfortable question right now. What if the thing keeping you frozen isn't the fear of failure at all? What if it is the terrifying, silent fear of just being normal? Growing up, people probably told you that you had so much potential. And now, potential feels like a prison. Because if you look closely at your hesitation, if you really strip it down to the studs, you might realize you are desperately hunting for a choice that mathematically proves you are special. You want a path that acts as a permanent bulletproof shield against being ordinary. You want a narrative. You want a choice that sounds incredibly impressive when you explain it at a crowded dinner party. You treat your life like a complex math equation that you can perfectly solve if you just stare at the whiteboard long enough. Your brain wants a choice that guarantees your identity. A neon sign from the universe that validates your existence, erases your flaws, and proves, once and for all, that you made the right move. If you actually try and fail, you become regular. So you protect your potential by doing absolutely nothing. But the brutal truth of being alive is that no choice comes with a guarantee. A choice only gives you a path to walk on. It does not promise the weather will be good. You are exhausting yourself, chasing a phantom decision that will magically remove all your insecurity. You want an ironclad guarantee. You want to pick an option, feel an immediate rushing wave of total relief, and know with absolute certainty that you will never struggle again. You want the universe to hand you a signed contract that says you will not suffer. But real choices do not bring immediate relief. Real choices bring immediate responsibility. They require you to stand up, claim your ground, look the world in the eye, and say, I am doing this, and I will bear the heavy consequences if it all goes terribly wrong. Because you are completely terrified of the crushing weight of that responsibility, you back away from the edge. You convince yourself you're just being careful. You wait for a sign, a lightning strike. You wait for the perfect, flawless option to magically arrive on a silver platter. And waiting for the perfect choice is simply the most elegant, sophisticated way to waste your time. Now, here's what actually fixes it. But it is very hard to hear. It is never about picking the right path. It is about looking in the mirror and accepting that you cannot live them all. True peace does not arrive the moment you finally discover the flawless, risk-free option. Peace arrives the exact moment you permanently end your demand for a life without grief. Grief is not just for funerals. It is for unlived lives. Every time you choose a path, you're going to bleed a little bit. That is the price of admission for a real physical life. The fantasy of a painless choice is exactly what is keeping you trapped in that dark bedroom every night. You have to fundamentally reframe how you look at your future. You are not choosing the objectively best outcome that does not exist anywhere on earth outside of your imagination. You are choosing the future that you are actually willing to build with your own bare hands and your own daily presence. You are trading the exhausting illusion of infinity for the quiet friction of reality. To break out of the simulation, you need to step out of the courtroom. And you do that by following a very simple, profoundly grounded 3-step protocol starting tomorrow morning. Step 1. Name the grief. Say it out loud to an empty room. I'm grieving the lives I will not live. Now, acknowledge that closing a door physically hurts. It is supposed to hurt. If you choose the steady, reliable job, you must grieve the wild, chaotic independence of the startup. If you choose to travel the world, you must grieve the deep, grounding comfort of your hometown. If you commit to the relationship, you must grieve the absolute freedom of being alone. Treat the closed doors like a real, tangible loss. Give them a funeral. Do not run from the sadness. Let it sit in the room with you. Once you name the ghost, it loses its power to haunt you. Step 2. Choose by your values, not by the guarantees. Stop asking your anxious brain what the safest route is. Stop analyzing data to figure out what guarantees the most status, the most money, or the most applause. Ask yourself, what do I actually value right now in this exact season of my life? If you value freedom over security, choose the risk. If you value deep roots over constant adventure, choose the commitment. Choose the path that aligns with who you want to be, even if it comes with heavy friction and relentless uncertainty. Anchor your decision in your own character, not in the unpredictable weather of the outside world. Step 3. Commit for 30 days. This is the most crucial piece of the entire puzzle. Most people wake up and put their life choices on trial every single morning. They open their eyes and immediately ask, do I still want this? Was this a massive mistake? Should I quit today? You are bleeding out your emotional energy before your feet even touch the floor. Decision fatigue is destroying your momentum. Pick a direction and give it 30 days of blind, unquestioning, aggressive loyalty. Treat it like a binding contract. No daily reevaluations. Day 4 will be hard. Day 12, the panic will try to return. You will want to break the deal. Don't. You stay. No waking up and staring at the ceiling, agonizing over whether you made a massive mistake. No looking over your shoulder to see what everyone else on the internet is currently doing. Just 30 days of full, undivided, completely uncompromised presence in the reality you actually chose. Treat those 30 days as sacred ground. If it is the wrong choice, you will know in 30 days. But right now, you have to actually step into the arena and get your hands dirty. And if you do this, something shifts inside of you almost immediately. You stop negotiating with ghosts, you stop fighting a bloody war against the phantom lives you could have lived, and you finally start participating in the vibrant, messy, difficult life you actually have right in front of you. You will still feel fear. The fear never entirely goes away, but you will no longer feel paralysis. You will move forward despite the fear. And at night, when the world shuts down and you are lying in the dark, the room will get remarkably quieter, because you have finally stopped feeding the courtroom. You have stopped defending yourself against things that haven't even happened. Pause this video right now. What decision are you avoiding? And which version of you are you most afraid to let die? If this hit home for you, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are building a community here to transform this exact kind of overthinking into absolute clarity. I will see you in the next one.